Welcome back to the Essay Desk. I am glad you are here for episode 11 of the Masterclass because today's topic reaches for something UPSC keeps returning to: the quiet, unarguable business of courage. Every year, in one form or another, the paper asks whether you have the nerve to act before the conditions are perfect, and whether you understand that most reforms, most inventions, and most freedoms began before the world was ready for them. We are going to decode the topic, fix a single thesis, choose the lenses, place the anchors, and craft the open and the close. And by the end of this session, you will know how to write this kind of question in the top band. The topic on our writing table today is this: the seed does not ask permission of the season. It is a Section A topic, abstract and aphoristic, and it belongs to a family that the paper has returned to across at least 3 recent years, in 2020, 2022, and 2024, on the question of courage, risk, and action against inaction. The heat on this family is high, and if you are preparing for the coming mains, you should treat this shape of question as a genuine possibility. Now the first move, and it is the move that separates the top scripts from the rest, is to decode the topic before you write a single sentence. Read the line again. The seed does not ask permission of the season. 2 things sit here: the seed, which is agency, will, and the citizen or scientist or reformer who chooses to act. The season, which is context, permission, the market's mood, the government's timing, the crowd's approval. The tension is not defiance for its own sake. The topic is not asking you to celebrate rashness. It is asking you to weigh courage against consent, and to argue when initiative is right and when it is merely impatience. With the tension in view, fix a single thesis. One line the entire essay will argue, and every paragraph will obey. Here is a thesis that will serve you well. A civilization moves forward not when its citizens wait for the perfect season, but when a few of them, quietly and against odds, act on conviction and let the season catch up. Notice what this thesis is doing. It concedes that the season matters, it refuses to celebrate blind haste, and it still hands agency back to the citizen. That is the shape of a top-band thesis: honest, defensible, and quietly bold. Now the second decisive move. Choose the lenses through which you will view this topic and the order in which you will move through them. For this topic, 6 lenses genuinely earn their place. The philosophical lens, on agency and initiative. The historical lens, on freedom and reform sown before the season was ready. The scientific lens, because every honest question is a small act of courage against accepted certainty. The ecological lens, because the climate has stopped waiting and neither can we. The civic lens, because our Constitution binds the citizen to duty and not merely to comfort. And the personal lens, because courage in public life begins in private habit. Order matters as much as choice. Begin philosophical, so the reader knows you have thought about the idea before you list examples. Then ground the argument in history, where the seed has always outpaced the season. Widen it with science, where curiosity is quiet insurgency. Sharpen it with the ecological present, because that is where your reader lives. And close on the civic and personal, so the essay finishes in the reader's own hands and not in the abstract sky. 1 idea per paragraph, 1 sentence to open it, 1 anchor to hold it, 1 bridge to move on. Now anchors. A vivid essay is not a decorated essay. Anchors are evidence, and evidence must be interpreted the sentence after it is dropped. 3 will carry this topic beautifully. First, Reni village in the Garhwal Himalayas on the 26th of March 1974, when a peasant woman named Gaura Devi led 27 women to stand before loggers and told the officials to shoot her before they cut a single tree. The season did not permit that stand, and yet she made it, and the Chipko movement was born. Second, the deck of the SS Narkunda in September 1921, when a young Indian scientist, C.V. Raman, looked at the Mediterranean and refused to accept the settled European view that the sea was blue only because the sky was, and wrote a letter to the journal Nature before his ship had docked in Bombay. The season again did not permit that descent, and yet 9 years later, he became the first Asian to win a Nobel in science. And third, the season itself, the June just passed. June 2026 was the 5th driest June since 1901, with a nationwide rainfall deficit of about 40%, and the July outlook from the India Meteorological Department is again below normal. The climate has stopped asking our permission. That is the ecological verse of this topic, and it belongs in the essay. This is the slide I want you to remember longest. The introduction does not begin with a dictionary. It begins with a scene. Put the reader on the deck of that ship in 1921, or on the mountain path at Reni, or in this year's dry June. 3 sentences to earn attention. 1 sentence to name the tension. 1 sentence for the thesis. That is a top band opening. In the body, before you resolve, take the counter view seriously. Concede that timing is real, that reckless action has ruined causes, and that the season sometimes teaches patience. Only after that concession, resolve. And the close should not summarize. It should either loop back to the scene you opened with, or lift into a vision, or hold both sides in a single higher line. The last sentence of an essay is the sentence the examiner carries into the next script. Make it worth carrying. Here is a model closing line you can adapt in your own voice. Not copy, but imitate for shape. The seed that Gaur Devi held in her hands on that March morning was not permission. It was courage. And a republic that remembers her remembers also that its own soil was sown in seasons that had refused to be kind. If you write a closing sentence of that weight, calm, historical, and hopeful, the examiner will look up from the script. Before we close, hold these 5 moves in your mind for the paper. Decode the 2 words, seed and season, and name the tension between agency and permission. Fix a single thesis and hold it to the last line. Choose 6 lenses and order them for momentum. Deploy 3 living anchors, Reni, Narkunda, and this year's monsoon, and interpret each the sentence after you drop it. And close with a vision or a callback, never with a summary. Those are your 5 moves for this topic. That is our masterclass for today. I want to leave you with one thought before you close this video. The candidates who clear this paper are not the ones who waited for the perfect topic or the perfect mood. They wrote badly, and then a little better, and then well, on ordinary evenings in ordinary seasons. If you would like the full brief with 2 complete model essays and the examiner's margin commentary, leave your email in the comments or write to us at team@upscdesk.com and we will send it your way. Take care and write today.